Hello everyone, welcome back to Luke's Movie Talk, where I'll go over some of the most recent movies I've been watching. And for this video I'll be looking at Pinocchio on Disney+. But just before I start, if you're interested, I uploaded a video on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean, the next batch of episodes they released. So if you're interested, go give that a watch, and make sure to like, subscribe to keep up to date with all future uploads. So let's get into Pinocchio. So it follows the same plot as the animated original. One night Geppetto makes a wish and Pinocchio comes to life. Jiminy Cricket is given the job of the conscience by the Blue Fairy. Pinocchio goes to school but is kicked out for not being real. Pinocchio is then persuaded to join a fox, Honest John, and join a marionette troupe by Stromboli. Stromboli makes him perform and then cages him so he can't escape. Pinocchio is then saved by Jiminy, but then Pinocchio is whisked away to Pleasure Island. Pleasure Island is full of kids stealing and breaking things. As the night continues, Jiminy finds out the kids are turning into donkeys and being sold by smoke creatures. Before Pinocchio can be captured, he and Jiminy escape into the ocean. They then go home, but Geppetto has left to find Pinocchio. He's basically sold all his clocks and all his furniture and basically got all the money he can and bought a little sailboat to go out to Pleasure Island. After a weird water skiing scene, Pinocchio and Geppetto reunite. However, they are both eaten by the sea monster, Monstro. After they smoke Monstro out by making a little fire from the destroyed ships inside of him, they escape to land, and after Geppetto's fake death out, the movie ends. So, this is a weird one because it follows the movie, the original animated one, basically step for step more or less. There's a couple of additional things like there's a girl in the Stromboli performance who kind of befriends Pinocchio. I don't think she was in the original. So she kind of gets added in the little bits between scenes where it doesn't affect the overall plot. So she pops up here, pops up there, but it doesn't affect the plot as a whole. So it was kind of just added in for the sake of adding it in, I guess. But overall, it's more or less just the same. There's not much to say about it. I'll go over what I think. So the main positive I can take from this film is that Tom Hanks does a really good job as Geppetto. Like, everyone loves Tom Hanks. Like, even in films like this, he puts all his effort into it. Like, even if it's a bit over the top, he does give it a good job. But unfortunately, that's all the positives I can really say about this film. There's an unnecessary amount of CGI when it's not needed. Like, the cat Figaro is CG when they could have easily just used a little kitten or something. The sea with Geppetto, like when he goes out to sea, you can clearly tell he's on a little dinghy boat on a soundstage because the water around him looks just completely like CG. It's not even remotely close to looking real, and he's just on a soundstage. And then the marionettes. When he goes to Stromboli, there's multiple marionettes, and people controlling them with the strings. And the marionettes are just doing all these like fantastical movements, and then it looks just so dissociated from the strings and the people with the handles. It's so off-putting. I don't see why they needed to CGI the puppets. Just make an actual puppet. Like, at least it looks real and it looks authentic. Like, if you CG it, but don't do the people with the handles like even remotely close to what the puppets are doing motion-wise, it looks silly. When holding Pinocchio, it looks like a lot of people are holding thin air. Like, multiple times Geppetto picks him up, and it looks like he's not even touching him. It looks like he's just holding space in between, and they just slotted Pinocchio in After Effects or something. It looks so bizarre because it looks like he's floating while he's holding him, and I don't understand why they needed to do that. They could have found a better way to make it look okay. A lot of the CGI looks fine at night, especially because it's not highlighted, because a lot of it is in shadow. But when it's in the daytime, a lot of it is very off-putting, and it's very like, ugh, it's like weird to look at almost. The kidnappers are now smoke monsters for some reason. I feel like in the original animated one, they obviously were blacked out characters and they had like red eyes or something. But I feel like that was just showing they're like criminals and they're blacked out because they're like dangerous people. They weren't actually literal smoke monsters. I thought they were just nefarious underground kidnappers that you don't need to know the identity of. They're just really bad people, but for some reason they just made them smoke monsters, and it just looks so bizarre. And it's like, oh, okay, that looks weird. Monstro is now an actual sea monster and not a whale. I don't see why they did this. Monstro in the animated one, I think it's a sperm whale that they used, is terrifying, especially with some of the music they had with it as well. The whale is just terrifying because it's very ominous, and there's in this where where it's chasing them, and it's not frightening at all. And the sea monster is literally just this big whale tentacle creature, and it's not remotely like scary. Like Monstro was terrifying because they made it terrifying, whereas this one it's just kind of, oh yeah, it's another obstacle for Pinocchio to get past. Pinocchio's eyes and voice fell flat. They were soulless almost, because the eyes are just like, obviously they're painted on, but they look almost separate from the wooden body where they've animated it, and it looks weird. And the voice performance is like da 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 da, and it's very flat, and I don't know if they tried to make it like the original, but it doesn't work, and it just sounds, he's like just reading off the paper, and that's it. You didn't put anything else into it. It just sounds flat and boring. Pinocchio becomes Dash from The Incredibles at the end when he's escaping Monstro. I don't understand what on earth they thought was the reason for doing this, but I thought, that's not right, they didn't do that in the original, so I went back and looked, and in the original, Monstro is tearing down to chase them and get them, and Pinocchio's very scared. He's like paddling with the little paddle in the sailboat. He's terrified, and he's in a rush to get into the cove, whereas this one, he becomes almost a superhero, and he's just paddling away like Dash, and it's like, what on earth is this? It looks so stupid, and it's like taking all of the tension out of the scene, because in the original it's tense because Monstro is chasing them down and Pinocchio's in a rush to make sure to get to the cove, and this one Pinocchio just kind of darts away and they're fine at the end. It ruins it really. And then for some reason they decided to add a random Chris Pine joke, which was so weird. And then in Geppetto's shop, all the clocks are Disney properties. I think it would have been cool if they added like one or two, like Roger Rabbit, because I think that was Robert Zemeckis, the director's film as well. So that would have been cool. But no, they had to add literally 10 to 12 other ones. It's very on the nose, like, yeah, look at all of these things we made. And I don't understand why. It would have been cool, like, one or two, just be like, oh yeah, he made that as well, it's really nice. But no, you got to have Dumbo, Maleficent, Toy Story, you got to have Sleeping Beauty, you got there's so many, it's like unnecessarily like, look at all the things we made. But no, they had to go full out, not like calm it down a bit. And then the last thing was the ending is randomly open-ended. I don't know why. In the original, it's like, oh yeah, he went through all this trouble and now he's a real boy. He worked hard and he got what he wanted. But no, the end is like, oh yeah, he worked hard, but it doesn't matter if he's a real boy. He's a real boy on the inside. It's like, what? It defeats the purpose of the whole of the journey. He wanted to become a real boy, and at the end it's like, oh no, it doesn't matter actually. It's like, oh okay, the whole of the journey was pointless then. He could have just stayed at home and gone, oh yeah, it doesn't matter. But yeah, unfortunately this film is not good, to put it bluntly. Especially when you compare it to the original, it's like not even comparable to it. So if you want to watch a Pinocchio story, watch the original animated one. It is in far the better film. So watch that, skip this, it's not worth your time. I definitely recommend you watch the animated one, or possibly the new Netflix one that Guillermo del Toro is releasing later this year. So either one of them is probably going to be better than whatever this thing was. But yeah, so those are my thoughts on the film. If you did like this video, make sure to like, subscribe to keep up to date. And until next time, I will see you all later.